welcome back to the Freak Show. Bumpy McSquigums here. I want to thank you all for joining me as I continue with my Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity, The White March. We're going to talk to Artie Warty. As we near, I see a fallen log lying on the moss-covered ground. The surrounding woods are quiet, everything calm and undisturbed. A small bird lands on one end of the log, warming itself in the sun. This man emerges from the trees, moving quickly, but not quite running. He places each foot with a deliberate precision, making almost no noise. He jumps, landing on the log, and runs along its length. Only when he reaches the end does the bird take flight, startled as if it didn't realize he was there. He jumps down from the log, landing next to a tree with a small branch jutting out from it just above waist level. He grabs a branch and pulls himself forward, giving him a short-lived burst of speed. He is coming to the edge of the forest, and buildings can now be seen through the trees. Sounds of life make their way through the air and to his ears. He leans forward, running to push his way through the tree line and onto the road beyond. He pulls himself up short and looks around, breathing heavily from the exertion. He doesn't seem to find what he's looking for and takes a place leaning on a nearby building. Several minutes pass and he smiles, pushing himself off the wall and walking out to meet a figure running up the road, breathing heavily and shaking its head. He informs the figure that he's going to have to try harder if there's any chance of beating him. He puts an arm around the other man's shoulder, reminding him that there was an ale at stake, and says it's about time to pay up. Okay.
Yes?
Weird, I guess? I don't... Well, we're on to the Deerwood, or the Dyrford Village, I suppose. Nice, slow and steady jaunt. Well, we're going to be going into town. Hopefully nobody wants to eat our faces here. But they may want to. House Harondgard? A word, traveler. I only require a moment.
I'm here. Hail, traveler.
Hail. The guard gives you an appraising eye. You've recently come to Dyrford, I take it. I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road. I'm stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. With the rest of my unit until we find her. I haven't seen anyone like that. Who is she? Get out of my way. I haven't seen anyone like that. Who is she? Lady Alis. He bites his lip. She's the daughter of Lord Nestor Harond, and she's gone missing, he sighs. Perhaps you could go speak with Lord Harond at the inn. He'll be grateful for the assistance, and it could be the villagers will open up to you more than they have to us. Fair enough.
Of course.
Blood legacy. What is this? Does it say? Should. There's the mill, a grieving mother, somewhere, arms and armory, an apothecary, and Trigill's courier? Courieri? I have no idea. I don't know what any of that stuff means. Rumbald, and Galwin for the monsters like that, and name the rest of the gods too. Piglet! What's up? A man paces angrily in front of a wrecked animal pen, his sun-weathered face twisted with ire. He's so wrapped up in his fury that it doesn't seem to notice you. Galwin's slobbering beast, blazing bloody effigy, thrice damned salty wench and her soggy... what's wrong now? That monster stole my pigs, traipsed into the village, tore down my pen, and made off with the whole damned herd. Just left a few little runts, and what am I supposed to do with them? What are you talking about? An ogre moved in the area not long ago. Folk had been seeing glimpses and tracks out in the woods. But it seemed like it was staying away from the town. Or so we all thought until it made off with my pigs. Now everyone's afraid it's going to develop a taste for kith, if it hasn't already. What do you mean to do now? I know it's too late to get my pigs back, but it set my mind at ease to see the thing's head shorn from its neck. In fact, you bring its ugly pate to me, and I'll trade you for something that's of less use to a farmer like me than to a rowdy-looking sort like yourself. Okay, what do you know about the ogre? He's an Aumaua. It's the same as any other, I'm sure. A big, ugly son of a bleep with a nasty temper and an appetite to match. Trygill could tell you a bit more. He claims to have seen it in the wood. You can find him in his shop right by the broken tower. Regardless, I'm sure it's nothing a big fellow like yourself couldn't handle. I've been sent to find an Orlan named Nifri. Do you know where she is? Never heard of her. Uh-huh. The Farmer's Plight. Alright, well. It does appear that we could attempt to steal from there, but that's probably a bad idea. Can't remember the last time we had a healthy birth in the village. Yeah, well. Must have seen something. Have you been to Defiance Bay? I heard there's no Hollowborn there. Not many new faces these days. Most are eager to leave Dyrford. I don't suppose you've seen a young elven noblewoman around these parts. Nope, can't say that I have. The Dracogen Inn. Hello, wandering villager person. The lord staying at the Dracogen has just about worn out his welcome. If you know what I mean. And I believe that I do. Nope, that's not useful either. Hey, stop walking. That lord'll have bigger problems if his guards keep pushing us around. Yeah, he will. Of all the places for that girl to get lost, why'd she have to do it here? Iran's men already asked us about the girl. What more do they want? Winfrith's pleasant enough, but once you get him talking... He won't shut up. I can appreciate that, I suppose. What's going on back at my place? Oh, Beer and Wigar. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they kept swapping the Y and R in the I guess it was the last episode. As it was Beer and Wigar for most of it, but in the like choices of dialogue, it was Bryn. So weird. Very, very strange. Yeah, I'm gonna walk around a bit, so just be aware. Be aware that I'm aware that you're aware that we're walking around. Winfrith's Arms and Armory. Okay. When these lords have problems, they blame Honeskith. Typical. Most who pass through nowadays are refugees or bandits. Why does some highborn think we'd take his daughter? We've got enough trouble as it is. At least we're not under some tyrant like those poor sods in Gilded Vale. I don't know what's worse, the smell of the pigs or the smell of the people.
That's fragrant.
Okay. There's the courier. Hey, and I can steal an elder antelope horn. I mean, I found an elder antelope horn, because clearly I would never steal anything. That's odd that that's like open to the air. These people have nothing to hide. Why won't they let us search? To think this place used to be a noble's keep, and these hayseeds tore it down. Well, some people just don't appreciate good architecture, I suppose. Alright, we're just going to pass through the Dyrford Village. No questions asked. It's fine. Let's see where this actually leads. Hey, to something else. That's good. Well, that makes me slightly happier. I like to have additional places to go if, when, and where I can, so that does make me a little bit happier. We go there, the River Reed. Does this lead us anywhere? Probably the same Dyrford crossing. Alright, what do we have here? Oh, that's your apothecary, huh? It's a little wagon. Oh, alright, Dayton, McLean. You see this man in the middle of the forest, back against a tree. His head is turned and he strains to hear something. He turns his head the other direction and slowly slides down the tree, ending in a crouch. He cautiously moves forward, keeping to the shadows. The steps are silent as he gingerly places his feet between twigs and leaves. A grunting noise echoes through the quiet morning, and shuffling footsteps wrestle as they approach him. He cranes his head around the trunk of the tree and spies his target. He edges his way around the tree, keeping it between him and his quarry. The shuffling comes closer, the grunting now accompanied by a wet snuffle. Bracing himself against the tree, he holds his position, waiting. Then, with almost supernatural grace, he pushes himself from the tree and swings around it to the right, practically running along its trunk. Floating as he moves, he lands in front of the boar, rooting its way around the clearing, his knife flicking lightning quick across its neck. Before the startled animal can even react, he leaps onto its back, squeezing his knees into the sides and gripping the hair at the back of its neck. The beast starts to buck and tries to run from its attacker, but the man merely holds on and waits for the inevitable, enjoying the thrill of a hard-earned feast, thinking about what herbs would bring out the boar's natural flavors best. In seconds, the struggle is over and the thrill is gone, replaced by the same dull craving that brought him here in the first place. It has left him faster even than the last time, and already he is thinking about how he might top it. Okay. Well, that's weird, I guess. Guess we could talk to Hero next? You see a man stumble, unfamiliar vestments tripping him. He pushes himself to his feet, unsteady, and continues along the empty road. His lips are chapped and dry, skin glazed with dust, but something about the set of his jaw tells you that he has far yet to walk. As night stains the sky, he stops, whispering a fire into existence with the help of some wood. He attempts to sleep, staring into the stars. He continues in this fashion for several days, only occasionally drinking water from a goatskin as he moves. It takes him days to reach the temple, and when he does, his knees falter and give way, crashing him to the ground. The monks take him in, and he shares his tidings, meaningless to anyone but them, and when he is recovered, he begins anew, his stride strengthened with food and rest, mind clear with meditation and purpose, and a long way yet to walk. Good for you, Hero. I guess we'll go up this way, talk to the other rando peeps. And Ethel Silavar. What's up, man? Or manette. Probably man. You see a black-clad figure bent low and moving slowly through a field. The figure holds a gleaming blade in his hand, keeping it hidden behind his back. He approaches another man who is crouched over, actions hidden by a large bush he has crawled halfway under. The figure stops moving as the man comes out from under the bush. You see that it is this man holding a handful of berries he has retrieved from a smaller bush that lies hidden in the undergrowth that surrounds it. He crawls back under the large bush, his arms moving again as he picks the berries. The figure begins moving again, slinking slowly toward the man. He does not stop picking, but you see his head tilt very slightly to the side. He continues to work at the bush until the figure is almost on him. He backs out, his hands full, and places the berries in the basket. Then he crouches before the basket, sorting the berries, removing leaves and any berry that doesn't look perfect. The figure comes up behind the man and raises the blade to strike. The man suddenly rocks back on his feet, spinning around to face the figure behind him. He grabs the figure's wrist and falls onto his back, planting a leg in the center of the figure's chest. The figure flies over the man and lands on his back in the dirt. The man is straddling the figure in an instant, his hand snapping out and hitting several points around the head and neck. The figure immediately falls unconscious. The man stands and retrieves the basket, collecting berries and placing them back where they belong. Then he returns to picking. Huh. Neat. He is a ninja. Or some sort of weird, crazy pressure point, masterful monk of doom, maybe? I don't know. Potions for sale, meh. The woman looks wait, what? It's a grieving mother. Oh, this could be bad. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped around or down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off the long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me. The woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she heard you. Study the woman. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman, unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer. She's weaving. The vegetable pots are now missing. What does that mean? She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing, like many of the townfolks you've seen. There is a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color and a shape that lacks interest. Maybe that she is half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Focus on the woman. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downward, the hairs become long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver and wrapping around her hands. Okay. That's creepy. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles. Almost hypnotic, the silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table laying beneath a clear sky. And beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest hazy with mist, although whether it is actual mist or distance or recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau is soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body. Your physical contours have changed, along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts, the mist roiling softly into a sealed chamber, and the chime coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Adra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists, and your hands. Your hands are in motion, weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barath's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip. Okay? Its head slick, wet from the womb. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, and a woman's labored breathing, crying out. Focus on the child and the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close, and they are meant as a comfort. Of that you are certain. Draw the child forth, and coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft, wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before you. You are holding a small child, still wet from the womb, before you. We know this. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of the chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you are viewing a soul from within a soul. But it is there, it is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender to the child, okay? You surrender to the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and you realize the chimes are hanging from cords on your wrists, and where once they echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of your wrists. You are helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The woman laughs with a ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotions seem soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here, the child is safe, and all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. Okay, pulling back and retreating from the memory. With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own once again. There is no pool, no anchor, yet the sound of chimes remains. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well, and they hang from woven braids on the wrists of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, and the sound of the chimes on her wrist is sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she is nothing like what you first saw. She is wearing black shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is in streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. As she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize what you see is not what the world sees, and you are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in this realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she is glad to, at last, be seen. Okay, what did you do to me? Who are you?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
Huh, I wonder what everybody else in our party thinks. It's fine. There is a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch, reaching up to the air between you. You hear the chime on her wrist sound softly. Her hands move as if pantomiming, resting on your cheek at a distance, and she speaks softly and slowly.
A cadence of wheels on a caravan track, fever, questions by running water, violence in a night's campfire, arrows in the dark, and fleeing, falling rock and cracking stone, and a storm. The storm.
She swallows, and the chime sounds as her hand shakes. She stops, her hand frozen in the air.
The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
The question seems to be for both of you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to break out the episode right here, but we'll continue in the next episode with the grieving mother, weird glamour witch person. I have no idea. And we'll see what that's all about, and then we'll continue to explore around the town and see if we can't get all the stuff handled that we need to. And then we'll either head east to the crossing, or we'll head back toward Defiance Bay. Either way, that is a tale for another time. Until the very next episode, my name's Bumpy McSquigums. Thank you so much for stopping by the Freak Show, and I will see you later.